Hey, this is May 12th, 2023. Yeah, man, this is Stephan, man. Right back here, in the north side of St. Louis, Missouri, visiting from California. And where I'm at and where you see right here on Grand and Sullivan is where it all started at, Tri-Union AME Church, the place where I saw every hypocrite in the book. You know what? I'm gonna start off by saying, when I say this, hold on, let me go. Yeah, man, this is just my closure video. Now, when I say this, man, keep in mind, man, I'm spiritual, but I'm not religious. I'm not knocking anyone's religious beliefs or, anything like that. To each his own, more power to you. You know what I'm saying? I'm just getting closure on why I do not go to church to this day, and I'm not going to this day, and here's the reason why. Now, the main reason why is because from the time that I was 7 years old all the way to 11 years old, man, I know that sounds like the numbers of a dice game, but not only I saw every hypocrite in the book, but my moms used to drag me and force me to go to church. And I ain't gonna lie, I hated it, literally. And keep in mind, my grandma's name, Blanche Henning Caddell, is cast in stone in this church. Hold on, let me show. Yeah, right here where my thumb is, where you see the where you see the stone at, which is names. My grandma's name happened to be behind these bushes, so there's too many bushes, for me to be digging. But her name is cast in stone at this church. Yeah, and so then, it was like, man, I saw it from the time I was seven years old all the way to 11 years old. Man, I saw every hypocrite in the book, with women fighting over men in church. Some of them was even fighting over the reverend or the deacon. Some of them used to come, not all, but some of them used to come up in here drunk and high. You dig what I'm saying? And of course, you had a few of them up in here that was definitely on the down low for sure. There was, mixing Adam's apple with Maybelline, if you know what I mean. And then what broke the camel's back with me was that by the time I was like 8, 9 years old, man, when I saw a respected choir member snorting cocaine in the bathroom while I was in the bathroom stalls, in which he thought I wasn't even looking. Man, when I saw that, man, I was done. Period. I was done. D-O-N to the capital E. You dig what I'm saying? So I remember, later on, once service was over and all that mess, my moms kept asking me, well, you want anything to eat? Because they were serving food and, cakes and cookies and all that good stuff. You want anything to eat? You want any soda, any chips? You don't want nothing? I said, only thing I want is to get the heck up out this doggone church. I don't want to be here. You dig what I'm saying? So, man, by that point, man, I was so fed up at about 8, 9 years old. It got to a point where, man, about maybe 3 Sundays went by, and I happened to, it was like on the fall, somewhere in the fall season, where I had on this trench coat, when my mom's, gave me, that I didn't like, but I liked it on this day, because that day on the fall season on the Sunday at Tri-Union AME, I remember I came up in here with a golf club under my trench coat, but it was the toy golf club, the Mattel plastic golf club. Keep in mind, back in them days, them toy golf clubs, the plastic on them was so hard that you could do some damage with it. But I didn't even think about that when I was, 8, 9 years old. But anyway, man, I had that golf club in my trench coat, because I just got tired of seeing, and keep in mind, I'm 8, 9 years old thinking like this, because I got tired of seeing the hypocrisy, and folks want to come up in church high and drunk, jumping up and down, acting like they get the Holy Ghost and all of that. Man, I straight out told a couple of them, I'm like, look, y'all doing all that falling down. If one of y'all fall on me, I'm gonna knock you smooth out. I don't give a damn. I don't care. I don't give a damn. I'm straight up with it. Keep in mind, I'm 8, 9 years old. I am 8 or 9 years old thinking like this, saying this because I got tired of all this mess. You dig what I'm saying? I mean, don't get me wrong. I know nobody ain't perfect and all of that. I mean, even I ain't, but dag, at least do the best you can. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, so I was so done with it from that point. About time I got about 12 years old, my mom's gave me the decision on if I want to, go to church or not. Of course, she already knew what my decision was going to be. I wasn't going, and I haven't went back ever since. The only time I really go to church for real, if it's a wedding or a funeral. Matter of fact, speaking of which, when it comes to funerals, a lot of funerals I don't even go to no more, man, because I'm just tired of the old, the family dramas and all that mess. You dig what I'm saying? When it comes to family funerals, now as far as the several family funerals out in California, only been to 3. Now, as far as family funerals back here in St. Louis, man, I ain't been to one in 24 years. You dig what I'm saying? The last funeral I've been here was back in 99, August of 99, when my pops, Ernest Caddell Jr. died. And I didn't even want to go to his funeral, but that was for other obvious reasons. So another reason why I don't go to funerals, man, or family funerals, that is, to the point, man, I'm tired of folks want to fight over who gonna get the money, who gonna get the car, who gonna get the leather couch, who gonna get the Crown Royal bag full of pennies. Man, look, I didn't got to the point where over the years, especially within the past 24 years, I got to the point I just told folks, whether it's my mom's or a few close cousins or, a couple of close relatives or whatever, I just said, look, just send me the obituary in the mail. You dig what I'm saying? Let me know what that person is buried at. If it's that, certain one that I know that I loved and got along with, let me know where they, send me an obituary, let me know where they buried at. So at least when 3 months pass, man, I will, or more, I will go to that person's grave site myself and pay my respects in peace. Because I ain't got time for all that family Jerry Springer issue nonsense, man. Come on, man. I ain't got time for all that. And besides, I remember one time, just before a brief little moment, one time, man, when I was at a family funeral as a kid back here in St. Louis, I was about 9 years old. It was either on the Caddell side or the Henning side, one of the two. I forgot which, cousin or relative it was, but either way, man, I remember it was 2 family members. We was at the grave site, and they was literally fighting at the grave site, trying to put each other in that same hole at the person's funeral that we're at. Now, imagine seeing that at 8 or 9 years old. I'm 9 years old seeing this. How you think that's gonna look to me? Which, it looked pretty crazy. So that's another reason why I don't even go. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm tired of all the dysfunctions, and I was just fed up with it, man. For years, I've just been fed up with it. Of course, I don't know if you could tell from the camera, but as you can see, parts of the church has been crumbling down, so, yep, steady crumbling. Pretty much, steady crumbling. Yeah, right here across from the alley from it, it's the old parking lot where all the church, where everybody from church parked their cars at. This is actually where the pastor used to park at, right here, in which it was a handicap section, and he wasn't even handicapped, but he still parked in the handicap section anyway, with all them gold rings on his finger, iceberg slim rings on his finger, that is. You dig what I'm saying? Yeah, so, hey, about 50 years of hypocrisy that's been going on in this church. Hey, you know what? God don't like ugly, so, hey, oh well. Oh, yeah. But yeah, man, hey, that's, the close. May 15th, 2023. Yeah, man, it's Stephan right here. You know, back in, I'm in the west side of St. Louis right now, visiting from California. And right behind me is you see another church on the west side, right here on Hamilton and Julian Avenue, called St. Paul AME Church. Another church where I was exposed to every hypocrite in the book. Yeah, just like the last video with Triunion, I'm going to go ahead and get straight down to it. Yeah, just taking you around the church for a little bit, you know. Of course, St. Paul AME right here, well, that was the sign. That was the cast in stone sign. Of course, this is the regular sign right here. Yeah, more stones on the church. Pretty much. Fuck, I can't have no kind of goddamn privacy. Motherfuckers with their doors open and shit. You just let me. Hold on. Fuck. There's a fucking door. Yeah, I was pretty much doing that, yeah. Yeah, this is the other side of the church, and where this is where the parking lot is and stuff like that. But anyway, yeah, yeah, I was exposed to a lot of hypocrites in this church. You know what I'm saying? Not as much as it was in Triunion AME Church, but it was definitely enough. Only difference is that at Triunion AME, you know, on the north side of St. Louis on Grand and Sullivan, they was straight ghetto with it. You dig what I'm saying? Keep in mind, ghetto is not a race, it's an attitude. Remember that. Even though it was definitely an African American church, but hey, they was ghetto with it. But at this particular church, in which it's an African American church as well, but it was still the same hypocrisy going on, but they was a bit more conservative with it, a bit more semi-bougie, you know, certain ones, not all, but certain ones, they just thought they was just better than anybody just because they got, you know, real good jobs and, you know, degrees and all that stuff, man. And of course, you know, it was a lot of hypocrisy that was going on here too. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, they was just a lot more conservative with it. So that was the only difference. And you had a few that had their nose up in the air like it ain't nothing. You dig what I'm saying? That was another thing I didn't like. And of course, it also explains the reason why I don't like stuck-up people. You dig what I'm saying? Yeah, and of course, you know, they always, you know, after church, you know, had the food getting served and stuff like that. Which, don't get me wrong, it was some good food and all, but man, I still didn't want to be here, you know, because my moms used to drag me and force me to go. And she didn't realize how much hypocrisy I got exposed to until she started seeing it right after I got grown. I say by the time I got in my early 20s, that's when she started seeing it. Even if she did see it, 9 times out of 10, she saw it, but just ignored it. You know what I'm saying? But me, I wasn't going to ignore it. I'm like, nah, And plus, you know, another reason why, you know, I still don't want to go to church this day because, man, especially at this one, especially at this church, man, it wasn't nothing but a doggone fashion show. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I see why, you know, the deacons and the reverends and everybody be repenting, because the church house, man, it be having some fine women in there, boy. For real. I even got my first erection in church for the simple reason it was so many fine women up in there. Yeah, and besides, you know, majority of the church members, you know, they pretty much, you had some that stayed in the hood, like whether it was on the north side or the west side of St. Louis, but they stayed more out in U City, but in the real nice areas of University City, aka U City. You dig what I'm saying? And you know, it was like, it just wasn't no different than being up at Tri-Union AME, you know, back on the north side. So I was like, you know what? I'm done. You know, once again, only time I go to church is either at a wedding or a funeral. And of course, I already told you the reason why I don't hardly go to funerals, you know, well, family funerals, unless it's a certain person or a certain one that I knew I got along with. You know, even then, most of the time I don't even go to those because of the dysfunctions that's been going on, man. You know, people want to, you know, fight, you know, over who gonna get the money, who gonna get the Crown Royal bag full of pennies, who gonna get the car, who gonna get the leather couch and all that, you know, et cetera, et cetera. You dig what I'm saying? And which with me, it ain't even about the money. You know what I'm saying? You know, just pay your respects. Don't get me wrong. If it comes, hey, I appreciate it, but it's not even about that with me. You dig what I'm saying? You know, all this, and of course, when it came to some of the family cutthroating too, just like at Tri-Union AME, I have seen that here in St. Paul AME Church as well, you know, with the behind the scenes cutthroating and backstabbing and, you know, the treachery, subterfuge and allegations and, you know, all that stuff. You know what I'm saying? It was just a little bit more hidden because they was just conservative with it here. You dig what I'm saying? You know, of course, at Tri-Union AME, of course, since they was ghetto with it, you know it was going to, you know, pretty much just get flip-flopped all over the place. Yeah, but like I said, though, you know, I'm a spiritual person. I am a man of God. I'm spiritual, but I'm not religious. You dig what I'm saying? But my spirituality does lead into that Nation of Islam category strongly because of the simple reason, look, now I may not be no Muslim, but I do agree with not all, but a lot of stuff that the Nation of Islam have to address when it's regarding black folk in this country. You dig what I'm saying? I do agree with the Nation of Islam with a lot of stuff when it's regarding both the black man, the black woman, and black folk in this world, and of course in this country, in America, spelt with the 3 Ks in the middle, period. Because, you know, it just helped me learn how to maneuver through pretty much just the world. No, I mean, not just society and not just me being, you know, a black man, but as a man and through the world as well. So, but, you know, anybody that have a religious preference, you know, I don't knock that, you know, hey, you know, to each his own, more power to you. You dig what I'm saying? Of course, to my brothers to the Nation of Islam,